Hello there, friends and lovers.
Hello.
And thank you for joining us. This is 5 Minutes with Robert.
And myself.
Amy, Nasir. And you, and we are glad you are here. This is episode 290. 290 on this fine December 14th, 2025. 2025, your best year yet. Let's see, today is the 348th day of the year, so I assume you've got it all handled. You're all done. There's only 11 days until Christmas, so
Yeah.
we're gliding, right? We're like
we're just
landing and
having cozy times with wonderful warm drinks.
we are.
In gingerbread mug shapes that are shaped mugs.
I'm doing the coffee as I usually do. Oh, new names in the chat. Good to see. If you have simply changed your name, feel free to out yourself. But if you are new, feel free to introduce yourself. I'm just getting the Facebook chat up here too.
Yep.
Jim is in the chat. I got to mention Jim. We got links to a couple of his Substack articles in the show notes. Those of you familiar with the show, you know all about that. Show notes are posted in the YouTube description, in the Facebook Live description. Everything we talk about, well, everything we planned to talk about will be in there. Again, today is December 14th. You have 11 days until Christmas, 62 days until Valentine's Day.
Oh, 62 days. Okay.
I mean, there's New Year's Eve, but what comes after that? What's the next big holiday?
Well, for single people out there, the holidays, Christmas and New Year's are a fine time to find somebody for Valentine's Day.
Now, for some people, it's a stressful time. You got to buy a gift. You got to make sure your partner, your wife, daughter, whoever, is not disappointed in what you bought them. We did a whole episode called Weekends and Holidays about that, and it's in the show notes. There's a link to it. You can watch that later. We'll touch on a couple of those things
and
today.
I might share some of my secret Christmas shopping ideas with everybody.
That would be good.
Yes.
That would be good. And you have 321 days left to decide what you're going to dress up as next Halloween.
Yes.
And on this date. Excuse me. Where is my cough button? I lost that again.
Oh, by the way, happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends.
Yes.
It's the first night. So.
That is in our show notes as well. A lot of the Jewish holidays begin at sunset. Sunrise, sunset. So it is sunsetted here in Motown, and wherever you're at in the world as sunset comes, do wish your Jewish friends a happy Hanukkah, unless you are a Jewish friend. I don't know if we have any Jewish friends we have secular Jewish friends in the audience.
Yes.
Maybe religious ones too. You never know. We're going to get into a bit of, we'll get to that in a minute. First, on this date, December 14th, 1911. 1911, so 114 years ago, the Norwegian explorer, which means I won't be able to properly pronounce his name, but Roald Amundsen, reaches the South Pole. On this date, just 114 years ago, nobody had ever been there. Nobody could get how are you going to get to the South Pole when you don't have, long distance aircraft and you don't have all of the technologies and all of the things? Well, Roald Amundsen, he actually beat Robert Scott by, a week and a half? 5 weeks. 5 weeks ahead of the British party. And he wasn't originally going to go there. He was going to shoot for the North Pole, but it turns out somebody beat him to it. So he changed his planned expedition to go to the South Pole. And it wasn't until the ship where he was collecting his crew reached the final port that he shared with them that he had changed his plan. We're not going to the North Pole, we're going to the South Pole. And he pulled it off. Very, very cool and interesting to me that was only 114 years ago, that nobody had ever been there. Now there's a permanent research station down there. In fact, it's named after him and Scott, the guy who got there 5 weeks later, the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, a permanent United States scientific research station at the South Pole.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing in my note is what Amy said, Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate.
Very good.
Often called the Festival of Lights.
Yes.
I kind of like that name.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because it sounds pretty secular and charming as well. The holiday is celebrated with the lighting of the menorah, traditional foods, games, and gifts. And, of course, everybody's singing the Adam Sandler Hanukkah song, as everybody should. And since it is, we're in the middle of the gift-giving season, it's free Shipping Day.
Oh, like for everybody?
Well, I think what was it, 1,400 many vendors
Really?
are celebrating are offering free shipping day. So,
Nice.
Amy, if one of your tips for people in making gift giving easier is buy stuff online.
Yes.
It's a good day to do that. Go to your favorite vendors if you were thinking about buying people things, stuff. Let me know. Incidentally, we've changed our video filters. Let me know if the video looks wrong, right, different,
I think
problematic.
it looks a little bit, I don't know,
Yeah,
contrasty.
a little too
Or
contrasty.
less like any, I don't know.
Here, I'll knock the contrast down a notch.
Yeah.
And you let me know if that helps. Well, that didn't really seem to do much. Well, there we
Anything?
go. It did a little, but I think I have to crank up the brightness a little to
Yeah,
compensate.
Brightness is good.
Yeah, try that, and I can do a little more if
You
necessary.
tweaked it like by 2 points.
Yeah, very small. Well, I could tweak it, and then you can say, "Oh yeah, that was too much. Change it back to the way it was." Let me do that, folks. We shouldn't be doing this live, but unfortunately, it's something I can't do unless it's live. And the
True.
reason is that the camera that we use has a default setting that is too dim. And before every show, one of the things that I have to do is change it to a brighter and different contrast setting. You're like, what are you talking about? Can't you change it permanently? And the answer is no, you can't. So I finally found a filter that I could apply that will stick. I won't have to do that like I've done it 279 times
I
before.
don't know. It just looks kind of muddy.
It got washed out.
Yeah.
Too little contrast. That's why it's kind of tricky to find that sweet spot right in the middle, which is why, again, I was only changing it very small amounts.
Yeah, for those who can't see us, who are listening to us just by audio,
Oh, that's right. If you're on Apple Podcasts or
Just
Spotify or
imagine.
whatever.
just
We're
imagine
doing
what we
some
look
things.
like with our background.
And I think we're done with that for now. I'll watch it all
Close
later.
your eyes
and,
and dream of what our studio looks like.
yes. And, how much does it matter? Because, it's not like I'm a rock star. Oh, wait. I actually am. Yes, we've got rock star stars.
Oh, that's right. You are.
Yeah, well, it's part of the news. But again, free shipping day today. It's the birthday of Patty Duke. Patty Duke is an interesting story. I knew she was Sean Astin's mother. I did not know that Sean Astin was not the biological father of what's his name? Astin. Adam's family. John Astin. Thank you. But John Astin did actually adopt him. And it's complicated. Patty Duke is an interesting story. Of course, the objectivists out there know her as starring as Helen Keller in a film that every objectivist must see, The Miracle Worker, with Anne Bancroft. So a posthumous happy birthday to Patty Duke. It's an interesting story worth looking into. She won an Academy Award for co-starring in the Miracle Worker. Speaking of movies, and I have a question for all of you out there. You help me out here. And I've got a couple questions like this tonight. Does the Phoenician Scheme get any better after the basketball in the tunnel scene? We tried watching that film last night. It looked quirky, and for me, there's good quirky and there's just kind of shock value quirky, and I can't decide if this is good quirky or not. We didn't quite make it through the film, so let me know in the chat. Does the Phoenician Scheme get any better? It had mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people not so much.
Yeah.
We got through 25 minutes of it, maybe a half hour.
No, we got through 40 minutes of it.
40 minutes.
Yes.
It's really strange to get through 40 minutes of a film and turn it off.
Yeah, and it was just not going anywhere. And the character, we're big fans of characterization. We're big fans of motivation and characters. And I just wasn't seeing much of anything going on in the dialogue, or I couldn't quite tell. I couldn't get into the heads of the characters to make me care about them at all.
And it seems like if you're a Wes Anderson fan, I guess that's his aesthetic. Extreme, bizarre, quirky, and then by the end, I guess he'll pull it all together and it'll all make sense, or at least as much sense as it's going to. Let me know. Linda Cordair is currently very much enjoying Slow Horses on Apple TV. We got through a couple seasons of that. I don't know if we made it through season 2.
No, I don't
At
remember.
some point, it seemed like there was more thriller than plot,
I just remember.
or anything likable or worth watching. And it just, the tension is great if you like tension.
Yeah, don't like tension.
But yeah, as Amy suggests, we kind of have a limit on that. And if there's enough story and goodness and stuff, and all of that, then it's worth it.
As I recall, aesthetically, I just found it too grimy.
Too grimy?
Grimy.
You mean like gritty?
Gritty, grimy.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I need to take a shower after this.
I can see that. But we've watched shows like that before and enjoyed them. It's you know my expression. I always say, if you're going to make something really gritty, or if you're going to make it really vulgar, or if you're going to make it really tense, or sexually explicit, or whatever it is, it needs to carry the freight. And we just weren't seeing the payoff there. The first season was exciting and interesting and fun. Part of the challenge is if you're going to have damaged characters, people who've been through a lot, and that's why they are, in this case, for example, super ornery. Again, you've got to carry the freight. You got to pay it. You got to make it worth dealing with that. It's like when we tried to watch Monk.
Yeah.
And that was so good. Oh my God, that was so good. Except after a while, it stopped being worth going through all of Monk's stuff.
Yeah, he was sort of on a trajectory of growth in a way, but then it stopped.
And then they realized, well, we can't make him grow. Because he was starting, he didn't change his OCD or any of that, but he learned to compensate for it. And to be a little self-aware of when he was being rotten to people. And he would still be rotten to people, but he would apologize. And at some point, they realized he was growing too much. We got to roll him back into all the horrible things that he used to do. Because that's what brought people into the series. And Linda Cordair says the contrast is still weird. Yeah.
It looks, on my screen at least, it looks very, it's grainy, it's weird looking.
Maybe what I need to do.
It looks like we have an old school Vaseline filter that they used in Star Trek.
It looks like what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to give up.
Give up, white flag.
Yeah, and then at some point I'll do some testing, not during a live show. I thought I had gotten really close there. Okay, there is, with the filters removed and the manual camera settings that we normally use.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful.
So apparently filters are just not going to compensate for that. Yeah, Linda says very red. Well, I am wearing a red shirt, and it's the holidays, and the more red, the better. Okay, so that was not good. Paul says highs are okay, dark's too dark. Yeah, it was. Well, you saw what happened there. If I would increase the contrast, it was too much. If I would remove the contrast, everything grayed out. If I added saturation to compensate for the anyway, whatever.
We need to have an Instagram filter that would project us as cats.
Oh, that's a good idea. I would do rabbits, of course.
Yes.
Linda says better, yes, because we have scrapped the idea of using filters to compensate for not using the manual settings that I have to do every time we do a show. But that's okay, because I will self-sacrifice. I will torture myself for the good of the people.
Yes, yeah. And then you will say to yourself, I have not yet sacrificed enough. It's not enough yet. I haven't gotten to the line that I needed to be to render myself virtuous.
As Ayn Rand used to say, give till it hurts.
Yes.
Some of you don't know that story. It's a charming story Marianne Surius tells or maybe it was Harry Binswanger. But anyway, they would get together and try to raise money for various things that they would do. And people would, at one of these sessions, where they were offering all sorts of slogans like, give for your values and things just nobody was finding inspiring. And so Ayn Rand said, yes, and give till it hurts. And everybody cracked up, of course. And so I will always think of that one. That's all I've got for on this date. And,
yesterday was Dick Van Dyke's 100th birthday. So
you're right. That is on this date,
100
even though it was yesterday. And it's funny because we've been seeing Dick Van Dyke is 100 years old for months, maybe for years. And he hasn't actually been 100 years old until yesterday.
Yes.
But our favorite ad companies will give you memes for everything. whether they're true or
Well,
not.
at least he got to 100. Poor Betty White. She was like 3
So
weeks
close.
out.
Oh my
like
gosh.
a few weeks out. And anyway, so good for him. Good for Dick Van Dyke. I love it.
Yes, love it, love it. Find some of the videos if you. I posted one of the articles on him that has some of these videos of him talking about reaching 100 years old. There's one from earlier this year about him showing off his exercise routines, how you stay healthy at 100 years old. Good stuff.
Yeah, Jim says, now you look normal, not like Abby.
Not like Abby Normal. Thank you. Thank you. That took me a moment. Young Frankenstein fans will get that one.
Oh, so good.
Very, very good. Yes. So under shameless self-promotion, and what are we listening to this week? Well, first things first. What did I put first? Well, you all know about Quent Cordair Fine Art. You've all gone to the gallery. Many of you have purchased things. You can buy things that are at trivial cost. Now, I shouldn't say trivial because nothing there is trivial. But you can order, for example, the Quent Cordair annual calendar. You can order a print of one of Quent Cordair's poems, one of his pieces.
Yes.
You can order his art, of course, and you can order magnificent art. And if your budget is in the hundreds or thousands of dollars, they have everything to satisfy everything you might want.
Yeah, I got to say, I just got to stop the presses here. Quent Cordair is such a Renaissance man. He is not only the husband of the great Linda Cordair, but he is not only a novelist, he's a poet, and he's also a painter. He's an artist.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I said you can get Quent Cordair's art from Quent Cordair Fine Art, as well as all of the other magnificent artists that they represent. But only recently can you now also visit Quent Cordair's website for his writing. Quent Cordair Author.
Yes.
There is now a Quent Cordair Author website that you can go to, and the link is in the show notes under shameless self-promotion and what are we listening to this week. It's not really self-promotion, and we're not really listening to it, but we are enjoying the fact that you can now go to Quent Cordair Fine Art and author Quent Cordair,
I need
which
to
is
ask.
at authorquentcordair.com.
So, Linda, if you're listening right now, could you put in the chat? This is my question to Linda Cordair, who's in the chat.
Let's see if she is on.
So, has Quent ever done like audio on what he's written?
Oh yeah,
he has.
I can answer that question.
Oh,
The first two books in the 5-book series Idolatry were actually narrated by Robin Fields.
Oh, right.
And the third one, Linda hinted that it was going to be narrated by, I forget. Was it Quent himself? Yeah, tell us in the chat. Who was it that you thought might be doing the audiobook for book 3? So it's not available yet, even though you should have it on your Kindle already. But if you want the audiobook, yeah, they're working on that. I think Linda's at work in the gallery, so it might take her a minute to respond to
Yeah,
us.
if she comes back and I don't think she heard us, I'll ask again.
Yes. But the answer to your question is that, yes, they are planning on an audiobook for the third one as well. I don't think the collections like Lunch Break have been done as audiobooks, but Idolatry, the book series, has been done that way. And hopefully the current book, just released, will be done as well. Quent and I are considering narrating part 3. Ooh.
Oh.
The two of you? That would be awfully awesome.
I would love that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because one of the favorite audiobooks that Amy's been enjoying, you'll have to go to last week's show to find the links for that, but are the full cast versions of the Harry Potter books.
Delicious.
The first book has been done as an audiobook with not the movie cast, but a full cast of actors.
Yes.
And
Foley sounds and all of it. I mean, it's so good. All the ambient sounds, everything. It's so good.
Yeah. And I don't mean to pick on Jim Dale or Stephen Fry, but Jim Dale's American version of the book, the narration, or Stephen Fry's British version of the book, his narration, neither one of them know how to read female voices.
No.
They do it with a strange affectation, and you shouldn't try that hard when you read the voice, the lines of a female character. If you're just doing a straight audiobook, they try a little too hard.
Yeah.
So a full character, full cast version, yeah, that's the way to go. Anyway, point is, it might be great fun if both Linda and Quint narrate the book. I don't know if that's what they've got in mind or not. Oh, good. I mentioned a moment ago that you should already have Idolatry Part 3 on Kindle, but Linda in the chat says Part 3 dropped in paperback today.
Woo!
So now you can get the Dead Tree version of The Fruit of the Tree. Excellent. Thank you for that. Awesome. Next in my list of shameless self-promotion, what are we listening to this week, is Santa Claus an Altruist.
Who's asking this?
That was me and Jim Valiant.
Oh.
And this is an older one. This is
right.
from our
Keeping It
series
Real.
that we did earlier.
Yeah.
Keeping It Real with James Valiant and Robert Nasir. And worth a listen. I enjoyed going back and listening to that. And the answer to the question was no, Santa Claus is not an altruist. In fact, at least in theory, he only gives gifts to the good children.
Absolutely.
And not to the bad children. What happens to the bad children, Amy?
They either get coal or Krampus takes them in the night and then eats them.
Or does something. I don't know, maybe he just gives them a job.
He bakes them and puts them in a pie and bakes them.
I thought that was just something that happened in the gingerbread house or something like that. Either way, Santa Claus is not an altruist. No, he rewards virtue. And of course, we know Santa Claus,
We do.
the real Santa Claus,
Good friend of ours.
who incidentally, when he's not busy at the North Pole, works at Greenfield Village. Just beyond awesome.
Oh, he's just the best.
He is. He is. People say, is Santa real? I said, well, Santa
Yeah.
we know is real, yeah.
Yeah, and as I recently said, people ask them, is Santa real? And then they have, their believe thing. And every time I see that, believe kind of slogan for Santa, I think to myself, there is no believing here. Santa is a fact.
That's right. One of the questions that came up in my discussion with James Valiant is, how should parents handle Santa Claus with their children? And my answer, and James' answer as well, is you should be absolutely upfront with your children. They should know when you talk about Santa Claus what you're talking about.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say it out right now for anybody who still carries their beliefs in that manner. But no, I think that you should be rational about Santa Claus.
Yes.
I don't think that the story of the Easter Bunny is diminished in any way by telling your children, it is a story.
Yes.
And just like we do role playing or play acting or simply read novels and believe in those people so long as we're reading the book and understand that, yes, it is imagination.
Yes.
I don't think it diminishes Santa Claus in any way to say Santa is a story we tell. And it doesn't reduce the magic. I think it enhances the magic.
Yes.
To let your children know that this is a wonderful story that you, the parents, are telling. These are wonderful traditions. The gifts that Santa brings, well, they are actually really coming from somebody real. And it's fun. It's simply a fun way to frame things.
Yes.
There is no additional magic that is added by lying to your children, including the eventual disappointment and, in terms of their friends, the embarrassment that comes later. No.
Yes.
No less magic by being honest and rational.
And I'll say two things here, because I've known people, really good people who have young children, like 2 or 3 years old, and you don't go up to a 3 or 4-year-old and say, "Guess what, Johnny? Santa's not real."
Well, somebody's going to do that eventually.
Do that eventually, but you don't have to approach it in a way that is.
Well, you wouldn't go up to somebody else's children.
No. But you would go up to your child. I mean, in terms of just giving them information that they don't really need right now. If they're 3 years old, they're not going to be thinking conceptually, or they will be, but it's not going to be very articulate. So it's not. You approach it. It's age dependent. You try to approach it as gently as possible. And as lovingly as possible.
You're saying if you encounter a child who's already been convinced otherwise.
Yes. I'll tell you what. I was 7 years old when my mom told me that Santa, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, all of that was complete fabrication. And yeah, she said, I need to tell you that they're not actually real, but I'm Santa. So I'm the Easter Bunny and I'm the Tooth Fairy. I'm the one doing all of this. And,
well, the problem isn't that your mother told you that. The problem is letting the kids believe
until they were 7.
Anything else.
Right.
And again, but when they still believed, they got such wonder and such joy out of it. Yeah, and you've taught your children that you'll never know when your parents are lying to you.
You know,
and you set them up for enormous disappointment and huge embarrassment.
But I think you need to take it a step further. You know, when I was growing up, there was a thing called stranger danger. And they probably have that now still too. And is basically conditioning your children to think, okay, if you see a stranger, they are most likely nefarious and want to harm you. So yeah. Oh, I grew up that way. That's why I was never kidnapped. No, I'm kidding.
Never taught my daughter that.
I know.
If we ever use the expression, it was just a reminder that, you know, there's a limit to how much you put yourself at risk with somebody when you have no idea who they are.
But the point about Santa is that he is a fact. Santa is real in the sense that there are good enough people out there who go to Santa school and they play Santa, and it's fun for them to play Santa, and they love talking to children, and they're very good people, very nice, and you know, and you go up to them and you ask them for there's a tradition of going and asking for what you would like. And that's a wonderful thing. There are wonderful people out in the universe. That's the kind of thing that I was missing as a child, unfortunately.
Now we're getting the counter arguments in the chat.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like Greg says, I saw Santa by the kettle, ringing a bell just outside the Salvation Army thrift store.
Yes.
Dr. Ribbon says, I always told my daughter, well, Santa is anyone who loves someone so much that they'll give them a gift.
Yeah.
And she dressed her up as Santa at Christmas so she could pass out presents. And Christopher, of course, says, Amy's mom is Santa, which would have been a big shock to me. And Linda, of course, drops the real bomb by saying, well, what about Jesus?
Oh,
Linda, yeah. I'm sorry, because like Amy said, I hate to be the one to tell you, Jesus is, you know, it's a friendly story we tell. At a certain age, you should have been told the truth. I'm sorry. Maybe this guy should have told you the truth. Somebody like this guy should have come along for the podcaster people. There is now a photograph on the screen of me in orders. Yes, I am an ordained minister. The Universal Life Church, as many people are.
When I first saw this, I'm like, oh my God, that's so creepy.
And the strongest reaction I got to this photograph came from Amy.
Oh, jeez. I'm like, you know, so I grew up Catholic. So if I see somebody like that, I'm like, oh, it's somebody who's celibate. It's somebody who is, you know, I don't know, just creepy. And like,
you tell me how celibate that guy is.
Yeah. No, but I mean, when I saw that, it brought back some unfortunate associations that I made with the collar. And, but I got over it, obviously. And it was really fun giving Robert a big smooch while he was wearing that outfit.
I should explain. I mentioned last week that I had just had a gig as a bass player in a rock band on stage. Very cool. And that 1 week later, I was scheduled to ordain a wedding.
Yes.
And the guy getting married, and the guy who was the front man of the rock band, same guy, our good friend John Head. You may know him as Ron Toole, the fabulous Ron Toole of the CIA. And because he asked me to ordain his wedding, I have all the ordination materials. I have the minister's badge. I have the clergy pass. I have all those good things. One thing I did not have was a tab collar. Not tab collars like a skinny necktie from the 80s, but a priest's tab collar. How could I resist ordering one? So I did. Sent him a photograph just as a goof. And he said, in John's characteristic style, dude, you got to wear that.
Oh, God.
And so there's a photograph from the wedding there.
Yeah.
This actually happened. Now,
Yeah.
if anybody else out there wants me to ordain their wedding, to do their wedding, it's not going to look like this. And, you know, I will not be in orders unless you specifically request it like John did. But this is what the wedding looked like. Now,
crazy?
it may not be obvious, but we're in a movie theater, which is why there's a white screen behind us. And before the wedding, there was a 43-minute movie, a montage of all sorts of outrageous things to do with weddings.
Like the Brady Bunch wedding
Brady Bunch
from
wedding.
the pilot.
A lot of cartoon clips, a lot of outrageousness. So there was a lot of outrageousness at this wedding anyway. And but it was very charming. Here's the bridal dance. There's the bride and the groom. And I've got to say, John, and Madeline, if you are listening to or watching this episode, I said it before and I'll say it again, it was a real honor to officiate your wedding. It was a super sweet. Oh, there's the bride there, and I'm still in orders at that point. We had just wrapped up.
Oh my gosh. It was a great day. It was a great day for a wedding.
So Linda Cordair, I'm sorry if somebody, trustworthy like that did not, come to you at some point and tell you the truth about our Lord and Savior. But it's never too late. Never too late. Better late than never.
Oh my gosh.
That was so much fun.
That was
an outrageous
wonderful
wedding.
thing. It was very meaningful and very sweet. And it really was. It was, I'll just say, gosh, I don't know. This was such a happy ending for both of them. And I don't know yet everything about the bride, about Madeline, but she's wonderful. She's so lovely.
Yeah, the more we get to know her, the more wonderful she is.
Yeah, but we've known John. We've known what all the he's long suffering, as I would put it. And he's been through a lot. And I'll just say this was a tremendous reward for him, for them both. And I was so happy. So happy.
John has achieved a lot in his life, and he's found extraordinary happiness in his success with his career and his scouts. He's a scout leader, his friends, his rock band. In romance, he hadn't been quite as lucky. He's had his ups and downs, and for him finally to have found happiness the way he has, yeah, it was great to be a part of that.
Megan,
yeah,
she says, were you ordained by the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster? Well, close.
No, an actual church, the Universal Life Church in Modesto, California, which pretty much had a monopoly on that kind of thing, ordaining people who were non-denominational at best. And it's interesting because other organizations now have been coming along.
Yeah, really.
As people are seeking to join the ranks of the ordained to perform these kinds of ceremonies. Amy, of course, has shown you before on the show. It's not within arm's reach, but she has a flying spaghetti monster model.
Oh, I should
for the purpose of worship and adoration.
We need to get on Zoom so we can chat a little bit. And I can show you my real life flying spaghetti monster model, and it's quite accurate.
Jeff Bannister says, he came late and he says, tried 1.5 speed, doesn't sound right. Sometimes I talk too fast, and it's funny because, Amy, you listen to Yarn Brook a lot, but I know you listen to him at more than 1x speed, substantially more than 1x speed. I'll have to try listening to this show at 1.5 or 2x, and because now I'm curious.
I've done that with us.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. No,
do we speak a little too fast for that, or no? You're probably used to it no matter who it is.
I mean, for us, it's usually 1.5.
Yeah.
But
for your own, it's 2x.
No, it's about 1.5 for Euron
okay.
as well.
All right. All right. Well, Jeff, we're glad you are here.
Yeah.
And happy, well, in Jeff's case, it would be, happy Russia's coming back.
Yeah.
And looking forward to that next year. I got to check the Detroit tickets. We've already got tickets for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which we bought before the additional shows were announced. So we may be going to see Rush twice if we can get decent tickets here in Motown as well.
Yeah, we just might. We just might. And it's going to be a lot of fun next year, of course.
Yes, Dr. Evans. Amen. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And Tom says, it's the felt hat. Tom says Robert looks a bit like the minister or whatever he was in Little House on the Prairie. It's the black felt hat. Although a lot younger. Oh, I didn't see Little House. I don't know how old their minister was. I'll assume that that's a good thing. Real quick, because I was covering what we're listening to this week. What we're reading is, take a look at Jim Ashley's latest on his Substack. He's been slowly catching up, publishing notes that he's published before on Facebook. If you're friends with him on Facebook, you've read a lot of these. But he's been catching up, putting them on Substack, which I think is a great idea. Especially because Facebook is changing. It's getting harder to find old things. They're really discouraging you from doing anything serious, anything long format, anything essay style, anything that links outside of Facebook. They've always said that the purpose of Facebook is short attention span entertainment. But lately they're making it harder and harder to do anything but that. So Jim, that's a great idea that you are populating your Substack with your writings. And I especially appreciated the essay, Take Yourself Seriously. Jim will often use movie references to make his points, and in this case, he's got a great reference. He's comparing Cyrano de Bergerac to Ellsworth Toohey, and the most self-effacing, or at least the person who encourages you to be the most self-effacing, versus the man who stands up for himself, his pride, his image, his virtues. So well worth reading. Links to both of those, the essay Take Yourself Seriously and also the Key to Serenity, are in the show notes. I especially appreciated this toward the end of the Key to Serenity. Jim, you wrote, calling something what it is. And what is. Awareness of this keeps us anchored not only to reality, but to what is possible in reality. With, it is what it is. Or what is, or A is A, all different expressions of the same thought. One can breathe, one can relax, and one can then turn one's attention to other things. Jim, I appreciated that because that first expression, it is what it is kind of tainted because a lot of people use it in a dismissive way that is not really acceptance of facts of reality so much as pessimism.
Yeah, it's defeatism.
But I have used that expression in exactly the way that you say it. So even with the pessimists I meet, kind of Debbie Downers who will say, well, it is what it is. You're stuck with that.
Wah, wah.
I still think it's a good thing that people are willing to say things are what they are. And really, they just need a little tweak, a little like 90-degree attitude adjustment there. So I'm glad that you added that to that. Also today in Thinking Directions, read Jean Maroney Binswanger's essay, Thoughts on Following a Daily Plan. I have fallen off the horse. I have not been following a daily plan lately. I need to get back on that, but with the additional insights that Jean puts in that essay. Links to that are also in the show notes under what we're listening to this week. As far as Robert and Amy take on the news, I got nothing. Nothing for this week because the news has been crazy and all over the map. And Yaron Brooke has been doing a great job covering that.
Yeah.
What do you think of the news lately?
I recently had unfortunately, it's a very small fraction of my mind, like 3%, the 97.3%,
Yeah.
Thinking about politics and thinking about objectivists or people who call themselves objectivists or something, and who basically, how can I say this? They love Donald Trump. They admire, I can't even say with a straight face, they admire this man and think of him as the greatest president of the United States of America. And and I was thinking about this a little bit more, and you hear or you read what people write, and in their praise and adulation for this person, and they're missing a bunch of content. It's like, okay, well, what about this? Well, they don't even mention it. They don't mention this. They don't mention that. They don't mention this. And it's interesting to me, and I think, are they evading? Because I think it's more than evasion. And I think the payoff for them is that they get to embrace kind of a figurehead concept. This man represents the best of Western culture, and that's how they look at it. And they cherry pick things, perhaps, and they see him as how they want to see him. And there's no going back, there's no turn around, there's no rethinking, there's no reevaluation. It's just, he is basically a king or a monarch. He can do no wrong because he represents this wonderful, great America. It's truly bizarre, but that's the only explanation I can think of.
I have a little different understanding of that, and I've shared it with you before, and I'll tell you what it is. And everything else, because there are 100 elements to this. Nothing this crazy can happen without more than one reason. But the ultimate explanation is sense of life. And sense of life being that equivalent of metaphysics, your psychological equivalent of metaphysics and your regular way of approaching things psychoepistemologically. People who admire Donald Trump believe that his beliefs, his methods, his anti-ideology, his pragmatism, his quote-unquote practicalness match the world as it is. They believe that right now, given the way things are, he is right for the world. He is what the world needs. He is what the world deserves. He is a match for the way things are. The ideologues who oppose him, like me, us, we are impractical. We are not living in the real world. The world as it is Donald Trump shaped, Donald Trump flavored. Donald Trump is right for the world. And we are not. And that's why you can't argue or discuss or debate or even try to have a friendly conversation to bridge the gap with these folks, because they're talking about a planet that we don't live on. They're talking about a world that is not our world. They believe that given the way the world is, given the way people are, given the way the culture is, Donald Trump's methods are the right methods for the world. And those of us who oppose that, we are irrational, impractical. We're just causing trouble where if we would just let this guy do everything he wants to do, he would continue to advance the world as it is. Now, there are a few who are a little less ideological, and they're of the complete pragmatist. You go to the war with the army you've got, and you go to war with the general you've got, and he's the general we've got. He's the best out there, so we should support him. But the real ideologues, the people who are writing nowadays that he's the best president we ever had, they see the world as a place where he's right for the world. He's the right guy. He's as good as it gets.
There's a distinction here, and this is, I think that you talk about sense of life, and you talk about, so for instance, in objectivism, we talk about hero worship. And there's one objectivist who is a big fan of Trump who has talked about this, and we've admired him for talking about hero worship many, many times, and done great work. And in terms of sense of life, I mean that's the only thing I can guess is that people like him are seeing him again as a figurehead, as a representation of all that is good in America. And
well, the person you're talking about has a little more nuanced view than that. If we're talking about Trump,
But,
he sees Trump's failures.
The question it comes down to, though, is why are they evading all of these other facts?
They're not important. That's why it's sense of life. What matters is...
How can you say not important?
Because they're not. There are other things that matter. What matters is
it's hard to...
that he's willing to stand up to, well, we would say that he bows down to, but he's willing to stand up to the opposition, foreign and international. But more than that, just the guy. They look at this guy who's brash and bold and is not afraid to take action and builds. He's got skyscrapers. If you've seen any of the Trump towers and ignore who Trump is, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's a builder. He's a creator. In the world as it is today, yeah, sure, there's a lot of grift and graft and lying and cheating and bankruptcies in order to make things happen, but that's the way the world is. He's playing the game the way the game has been established.
But it goes back to, again, why the evasion? I mean, are they, if you're going to say what you're saying, if that is actually what they're thinking, because it's really hard to tell. I mean, and when you ask somebody like this, they're not going to give you a straight answer. They won't.
Well, you tell me if this is a straight answer, because this is the answer I get. The answer they give me is, I can acknowledge all of Trump's failings, but you guys already do that. There's no reason for me to give you a list of the 20 things I don't like about Trump, when A, I think those are less important than his virtues, and B, you guys, me and you and, rational people, have already listed those 20 things 20 times over.
The interesting point of this is, do people like the ones we're talking about, objectivists who really idolize this figurehead, do they consider what this figurehead is doing virtuous? And are they extrapolating what he's doing, being this efficacious man who is dealing and wheeling and making all these things happen and speaking out and not afraid to actually not be woke, for instance, or however? And do they see these particular things as virtuous? That kind of pragmatic, strong arming, is that a virtue? And is that a virtue that they would apply to themselves in their own life? That is my question for them. Are these virtues of this great man, this representation of Western culture, are these virtues something that you want to act out in your own life? Do you think that you will become more efficacious if you actually use these principles or these character traits? and that is what really is, it really stands out as extremely bright spot in my mind of, and if that is the case, I don't want to have anything to do with these people.
I think they would answer in the words of Ayn Rand, I'm so sick of all you impractical idealists. Well, I mean, that was Ayn Rand's character, Robert Stadler, but still. At some point, if you really push them on, what do you think Trump's virtues are? Well, he's productive. He's built skyscrapers. Okay, what else, if you even want to call that? Is he honest? And the answer you're going to get, whether it's honesty or integrity, justice, whatever, is going to be, well, he's honest in his own way. He's just in that he goes after bad people. What are you doing?
It's so insidious, the evasion, the delusion.
It came up earlier because Yaron Brook did a show today, and how did it? Now I'm forgetting exactly how I thought about that, but oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
Christopher says salesman. Yeah, we know who you're talking about. I know you wrote salesman, but we know who you're talking about. And he's not even a good salesman.
No.
Only he's getting convinced, and he's writing essays now, and it's not convincing anybody of any. Well, he's giving food to the faithful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shudders. It's cringy. It's really cringeworthy. Anyway, thank you, Linda. She says, go Amy. Yeah. When I'm on fire. You can't.
Yeah, I didn't mean
douse
to get
me.
this much into politics. It's
Yeah.
always a risk when we do our take on the news section. And that's an area where we should absolutely never go longer than 5 minutes.
Oh, so Gary says some objectivists believe there is an axiom that every single one on, quote, the left is inherently nihilistic. Therefore, the right deserves external support. Eternal support. And what's interesting is, I thought of this today. There's a meme out there. So there's an illustration of a man riding a bike, and he has a stick in his hand. And the next frame, he sticks the stick into his bicycle, his wheel spokes. And then he starts blaming somebody. But I keep thinking of these objectivists who are evading right now as that. Because the stick that they're holding is altruism. They really don't get it. They're not applying moral philosophy. They're not applying Ayn Rand's moral philosophy.
Yes.
They're not seeing that this figurehead whom they're idolizing is just the opposite side of the coin of sacrifice. Is not, you don't sacrifice yourself to others, but you don't sacrifice others to yourself, and you don't support those who are actively making others sacrifice to themselves. And so what you got?
I mentioned that during Yarn Brooks show I had a thought, and I actually wrote it down and typed it out. So here's what it says. Our president has asserted that he is indeed anti-conceptual. See, Yarn Brooks did a show today. It was members only. So if you're not a YouTube member, you wouldn't have seen it. On Ayn Rand's essay, The Missing Link. And it's her essay about the anti-conceptual mentality, about people who do not operate at the level of abstractions, of abstract concepts. And she compares that to in evolution, there's this missing link, the point at which we go from being apes to being Neanderthals, to having rudimentary thought and concepts and free will. And I wrote, our president has asserted that he is indeed anti-conceptual. Granted, he uses the phrase non-ideological. Yes, Donald Trump has said explicitly, I'm non-ideological, which I believe. I believe he absolutely is non-ideological. He has no ideas, no concepts, and absolutely, and I think he'd be the first to acknowledge this, no uncompromised principles.
Right.
Including things like honesty and integrity and justice and productiveness and pride and rationality. Excuse me. Oh, and I definitely shouldn't leave out independence, because there is no greater second-hander than the man who is all about image.
Yeah.
So here's the good news. Let me wrap up this news segment with the good news. There are just 1,134 days until January 1st, 2029.
Woo!
We're slowly honing that number down. So hold on tight, friends. That day will come.
Yes.
And we'll be rid of this. Yeah, so there you go.
Hopefully.
So I posted on Facebook some videos from the show that I did last week with CIA Rock Show. I will post a few more pictures from this weekend's wedding. Probably won't share as much of the intimate details of that. It was, a private event, friends of ours getting married. I was asked to do that rock show very last minute when the bass player of the band had renal failure. I always thought renal sounded different than what it is. It sounds more digestive, but it's kidney failure.
Yeah.
And he ended up in the hospital. Like, his kidneys were getting wonky. And they asked Robert, do you think you could do this show with, a week and a half notice? And I was fans of the band already, so I'm like, oh, yeah, I know all of your songs, or most of your songs. I can learn the rest in a week and a half. It would have been easy to say no, because I'm going to have to spend a lot of time woodshedding, practicing, for those of you who aren't musicians. And no, this is an opportunity. You got to say yes to every opportunity that comes along, no matter what it is. Always say yes. And around the same time, John came to me and said, I'm going to get married. We're going to do it. We're going to get married. And I wonder if you'd perform the ceremony. Well, the answer is always yes. So I said, yeah, absolutely. And that's my message before we wrap up here on this fine Sunday is do all the things. The film Zootopia 2 just came out. And that's practically the theme of the movie, is just do what you want to do. Do all the things. There's a song by Shakira that was used as part of the soundtrack called Try Everything. And I think that's a great philosophy of life. Try, well, not everything, but everything that might even a little bit be worth doing. Try everything. Say yes to everything. Now I'm not just an ordained minister, I'm an ordained minister with experience performing weddings.
Yes.
And I'm a bass player. Well, substitute bass player. I think the bass player might be back up and at 'em. But we've talked about me going and joining the band anyway, because they often have guest musicians. If you watch the videos from the week before last, we had a saxophone player, the great Ralph Koziarski, who stayed on stage the whole time and just added on sax. I don't know, a saxohorn or is it a woodwind?
It's a woodwind.
I always get confused by that.
I guess
it's a horn, but it's not brass.
If it's brass, but with a reed, it's a woodwind. If it has a mouthpiece with no wood involved, it's brass.
And a piano is a percussion instrument. What the hell? So anyway, say yes to all the things. Do all the things. There are more links in the show notes to our episodes on, to one of those videos that our friend Dave Grogan posted. There are more if you go to his YouTube channel. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Well,
this last 2 weeks have been amazing just by saying yes to all the things. Amy, what else is on your mind?
Oh, I thought we might do a random fountainhead.
Last week we did Random Atlas. We showed you the party game that we enjoy doing. Usually at GLOW at Great Lakes Objectivists, our monthly get-togethers. And Amy, you want to do this for the fountainhead as well?
Yeah, and I'm going to use, I think this is what I'm seeing here is right. Oh, no. I want to do a random atlas.
You want to do because you want to pick out the first edition there, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
This book here, I'm taking it out of its cover.
It's in a plastic wrap. The explanation, there are a couple explanations here. This book was gifted to us by the groom.
Yes.
Years ago, not at the wedding, but yeah, John gifted us this early edition of Atlas
Treasures, precious, my precious.
Yeah. Incidentally, if you happen to have a slipcase for the first edition, that was first edition, right?
This might be second edition.
Second. If you happen to have a slipcase, the cover for the let's see, second printing of Atlas Shrugged, 1957, that doesn't have a book to go with us, let us know, because this would be worth hundreds of dollars more if we had the slipcase to go with it.
Yes.
Or not slipcase, but the cover.
Yeah, I mean, and it looks it's got AR here for Ayn Rand in the front of it in gold
just
lettering.
How the first edition was printed as well.
It's got the little I don't know if that's the Random House logo. It's got the little house on here on the spine here. Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand. It looks really beautiful. And then
now double check the pagination. We need to know the first page and the last page.
Okay, so let's see here. The first page is going to be 3, and the last page is going to be...
Christopher, you're right. It is first edition, second printing.
Yes. It's going to be, I think it's going to be the same as the other one. It's, 1168.
So somebody in the chat, feel free to throw a number at us between 3 and 1168.
Yes.
And whatever we find on that page, Amy will read it, and the rest of us will try to figure out what was happening there.
All right.
And I would recommend you keep it short. Don't give it too much of a clue.
It looks like Greg is first. He says 775.
And if you're following along at home, you can take a look and see what happened on page 775. So that would be about 2/3 of the way through, which is a bit of a clue.
Yeah, okay. So by the way, before we get into this, please go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribed if you're not subscribed. We're on Patreon and PayPal.
Yeah.
If you would like to throw some Christmas money our way.
Oh, yes, yes. No requirement, but we are grateful for everybody who supports the show, especially our monthly patrons. Y'all are the best.
All right, I'm not going to start right at the top. I'm going to go down a little further. All right, here we go. She leapt abruptly to her feet. She did not want to think of the outer world or of its moral code, but she knew that that was not the subject of her thoughts, and she did not want to think on the subject her mind was intent on pursuing, the subject to which it kept returning against her will by some will of its own. She paced the room, hating the ugly, jerky, uncontrolled looseness of her movements, torn between the need to let her emotion break the stillness and the knowledge that this was not the form of break she wanted. She lighted cigarettes for an instant's illusion of purposeful action and discarded them within another instant.
Yeah,
feeling...
Greg, I think you missed that we decided to go with Atlas Shrugged instead of the Fountainhead.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, Atlas Shrugged.
And because otherwise, yeah, that would be a good guess.
She lighted cigarettes for an instant's illusion of purposeful action and discarded them within another instant, feeling the weary distaste of a substitute purpose.
Yeah, you don't need to go any further for me, but you can keep going for the folks in the chat. I want to see who's the first person to catch that.
She looked at the room like a restless beggar, pleading with physical objects to give her a motive, wishing she could find something to clean, to mend, to polish, while knowing that no task was worth the effort. When nothing seems worth the effort, said some stern voice in her mind, it's a screen to hide a wish that's worth too much. What do you want? She snapped a match, viciously jerking the flame to the lip of a cigarette she noticed hanging unlighted in the corner of her mouth. What do you want? She repeated the voice that sounded severe as a judge. I want him to come back, she answered, throwing the words as a soundless cry at some accuser within her, almost as one would throw a bone to a pursuing beast in the hope of distracting it from pouncing upon the rest.
Yeah, Greg and Equal to Reality have already jumped on this.
Every time I read from this, I'm literally getting chills right now. And, God. I think I know the context for this.
Yes. I love especially when she's telling herself, I want him back, and she won't leave that last word off.
I want him back, she said softly, in answer to the accusation that there was no reason for so great an impatience. I want him back, she said pleadingly, in answer to the cold reminder that her answer did not balance the judge's scale. I want him back, she cried defiantly, fighting not to drop the one superfluous protective word in that sentence.
Yeah, she doesn't want him back. She just wants him. Oh. Yes. Yeah.
So tell us, fair listeners, what are we talking about?
Well,
who is
a couple
this
people
person?
are already talking about it here. Yes. Yeah, and Lucy has joined us on the Facebook side, and she says, no smoking. It's, when you're reading Ayn Rand, one of the things you have to do is not think too hard about the current understanding of cigarette smoking, because, yes, it's very symbolic in the stories, and for those of you who've known people who, for example, who've gone through lung cancer, it's a bit of a distraction if you think about it too much.
Right. Well, imagine living back then and having doctors recommend that you smoke a certain brand of cigarettes. I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of. I'm just very.
Pregnant women find that smoking calms them down.
So awful. Yeah. So anyway, so where are we? I don't know if we're in. It says Greg thinks it's Dagny in the cabin.
Right.
Is that where she is?
Yeah, she's in John Galt's cabin in the valley. Here's a spoiler. We mentioned last week. We should have mentioned it again. There's going to be spoilers if you've never read Ayn Rand's book, Atlas Shrugged.
No. He thinks that Francisco hasn't shown up yet.
Francisco hasn't shown up in the valley yet.
Greg, tell us now if you think that means that she is in the cabin in the
Near
Woodstock.
No, I don't think Greg thinks that. Although Greg says "oops," so I don't know. Maybe. Good point. Yeah.
Yes.
So it looks like Alex beat him to that, and yeah. There was more than one, and I don't really think of Galt's house as a cabin. So when you say cabin, I think of Dagny's place in Woodstock.
Yes.
But no, I wouldn't have called it the cabin. It's John Galt's got a house.
Yeah. So John Galt has a house. This is in the valley. This is after her plane crashes.
I don't know, maybe they use the word cabin there. Anyway, yes, it is. It is in Midas Mulligan's little town there, which is private property, by the way, which some folks need to understand because of the ideals that seem to be expressed in that little community. Some folks have a hard time understanding. What is it? Anarchy? Is there no government? Is there well, they do have Judge Narragansett there to handle things. And Lucy says, "Oh, I just misheard you, Robert Nasir, say Elvis shrugged. Great book title." Well, I don't know about that, but thank you for that.
Thank you very much. You're a lovely audience.
Thank you very much. I'll have a blue Christmas without you.
So she's living with John Galt in the valley. She's living in sin with John Galt in the valley.
Well, that's the problem. She's not. No, she's just keeping the house.
Oh my gosh.
It says later in there that she's living as his wife in every way but one.
Oh gosh. She saw his face, and with the clarity of undivided perception, she saw the meaning of the expression on his face. It was the meaning she had fought for hours.
Oh, yeah.
She saw it without astonishment because she had not yet regained her awareness of any reason why it should astonish her. "This is the way you look," he said softly, "when you fall asleep in your office." And she knew.
How did you know that?
And she knew that he too was not fully aware of letting her hear it. The way he said it told her how often he had thought of it and for what reason. "You look as if you would awaken in a world where you had nothing to hide or to fear." And she knew that the first movement of her face had been a smile, and she knew it in the moment when it vanished, when she grasped that they were both awake. He added quietly, with full awareness, "But here, it's true."
Damn right.
Her first emotion of the realm of reality was a sense of power. She sat up with a flowing, leisurely movement of confidence, feeling the flow of the motion from muscle to muscle through her body. She asked, and it was the slowness, the sound of casual curiosity, the tone of taking the implications for granted, that gave her voice the faintest sound of disdain. "How did you know what I looked like in my office?" "I told you that I've watched you for years." "How were you able to watch me that thoroughly? From where?" "I will not answer you now," he said simply without defiance. The slight movement of her shoulder leaning back, the pause, then the lower, huskier tone of her voice left a hint of smiling triumph to trail behind her words. "When did you see me for the first time?" 10 years ago, he answered, looking straight at her, letting her see that he was answering the full, unnamed meaning of her question. "Where?" The word was almost a command. He hesitated. Then he saw a faint smile that touched only his lips, not his eyes, the kind of smile with which one contemplates, with longing, bitterness, and pride, a possession purchased at an excruciating cost. His eyes seemed directed not at her, but at the girl of that time. "Underground and Taggart Transcontinental," he answered. Underground. Do you want to read more?
No.
So she's been there how long in his house in the valley?
A few weeks.
A few weeks. she's been cooking him breakfast, cooking his meals, cleaning his house.
Yeah, and he's been taking her around, meeting people.
And he's been giving her money, right?
Yes.
Yes, so
Because
she's been
she
earning.
refused to be a parasite for the time she was there.
Yes.
And refused for the money that Ragnar Danaskild was holding for her to be used in her name.
And she has been in her room, so she has a separate bedroom. He has a spare room. And she's been listening to him, using his lighter, lighting up cigarettes, not being able to sleep because she can't sleep. And all they can think about is wanting to be together and wanting to make love to each other and not being able to. And it's been torture for them both.
Yes, Greg, mending his clothes. That's right.
Mending his clothes.
I'm glad that he was not there to see her at an unfamiliar task.
Oh, was the writing on the ceiling of the room or was it on the wall?
Greg's being a little cheeky there, but yes, the previous occupants of Galt's guest room had left messages for the people who would follow.
And just so you know, we don't believe in not giving out spoilers. We'll talk about anything. This is John Galt is the key person. He's the one who thought of the strike. He thought of bringing people to the valley to keep them from. How am I going to say this?
I wouldn't say it, but
all right.
You talk about whatever you want.
But the guest room has been used for other people whom John Galt has convinced to come over. And what I mean by that is to basically leave their lives. And it's a room in which people have had to introspect in very intense ways, trying to figure out what it is, about giving up so much and or not giving up so much or beginning a new life. And that is the room that she is in, and she is not yet convinced because she crashed the party. That's all I'm gonna say. I know you probably Robert's sitting there, oh gosh, he's talking about too much.
So Christopher Smith says, does he show her a coin, or am I confusing the dumb movie? I think you're confusing the dumb movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, those movies were unforgivably bad.
Terrible.
And I'm not saying that as an objectivist. I'd read was misrepresented. They were just lousy movies.
Yeah.
It just seems like any film school student could have made a better film. It seemed malicious. It seemed like you couldn't make a film that bad, especially by the time they got to part 3. You couldn't do that accidentally.
Right.
It had to be malicious. But then again, never ascribe to evil what can be equally explained by incompetence. And so I'll try to be charitable in that regard. But the answer is no. I think that's just from the dumb movie.
Yeah. So anyway, there you are, Random Atlas, using the very beloved second
printing of the first edition.
Second printing of the first edition of Atlas Shrugged.
Yes, gifted to us by the man who got married yesterday.
Yes.
By some priest, or not a priest, actually a minister, an ordained minister of the Universal Life Church. And that was fun. So again, I leave you with these words. Say yes to everything. Well, not everything. Everything that has even a small chance of being of some value to you. Stephen Katz, immigration lawyer and Facebook friend and friend of the show. Don't know if he's listening live tonight. If you are, hello.
I think he is. Yeah.
And he messaged me earlier this week, and he was kind of happy to notice that he had a lot of good friends on Facebook. And he'd asked, well, is that a value? It is just Facebook after all. I'm like, no, that's absolutely a value. I mean, there are people I'm Facebook friends with on Facebook where it means nothing, positive or negative. They're just people who were interested in what I do, and they're kind of like you when you have followers. But there are a lot of Facebook friends that actually engage with me, or that I engage with. And Yeah, maybe that's different than IRL, in real life, meet space, out there. But it's very real, of great value. And there are friendships I've got online that I couldn't have any other way. Friendships with people around the world, people who are not next door. It's a great thing. It's a good thing. It's all good. And I do not take any of that or any of you for granted. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for your chat. We've read all the messages, even if we haven't responded to all of them, and very much appreciated. As Amy mentioned earlier, if you have any interest in supporting the show, it's getting toward the end of the year, so it's probably time for us to do a proper fundraiser. But for now, thank you to those of you who are patrons of the show. If you go to patreon.com/Robert Nasir, or just follow the link at the bottom of robertnasir.com, you too, if you're not already, can become a monthly supporter of the show. You could send us a couple dollars every month. You could send us more than a couple dollars every month and become one of the people who helps keep the lights on here at Casa della Nasir, Studio Nasir, where all of the action happens. We shared behind-the-scenes shots with you before. Maybe we'll do that again. Luke Travers just had his birthday, and we had one of those behind-the-scenes shots when he came live on the show. So thank you. Thank you for keeping the lights on. Thank you for making things happen. And that's it. All that is left, I think, unless you had something else you wanted to talk about, Amy?
Nope.
Okay, all that is left then. Unless you want to, do more out. We should do a whole show like that, because I know you really enjoy it.
Yeah. Gary does say that should be we should be doing that consistently. Oh, love you as well, Linda. Love you and Quent. Kisses to you both.
Yeah, if you didn't get the message earlier, Cordair.com, Quent Cordair Fine Art, has now been joined by a second website for author Quent Cordair. And look in the show notes for both of those links.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all I've got. All that is left is for me to thank you for being here and to wish you all of the success that you so richly deserve. I know that you do. Nobody sticks it out with a show like this, especially for all the 5 minutes that we have had today without being somebody PDA, and that doesn't mean public display of affection, although that too, but pretty damn awesome, and that is you.
Yes.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you all of the joy of the holidays coming up in the next 12 days.
Happy Hanukkah.
We will be back next Sunday, but until then, it's funny, I was about to say live with passion, but Anthony Robbins says that, and I hate to be, it's such a great phrase, though. Maybe I should, steal it. And someday we'll be more popular than him anyway. But no, what I really want to do is let you know, to remind you, to tell you absolutely, we wish you love.